Hi, listeners. Stories have so much power, and so does whoever controls the narrative. It is time that we dissect and analyze these stories. I am Vipul, and this is Folk Tales. Hi, everyone. Today's story is The White Snake. As in last week's story, that is episode 89, The Three Snakes Leave, this story also has a serpent as an agent of magical abilities. In The Three Snakes Leave, the power bestowed by the snake was the ability to bring something dead back to life. And to find out what magical power the snake bestows in The White Snake, it's story time. A wise king receives a covered dish every evening. A young servant is intrigued one night when he retrieves the king's dish and discovers a coiled white snake under the cover. The servant takes a small bite and discovers that he can now understand and communicate with animals. Shortly afterwards, the servant is accused of stealing the queen's ring. He is given 1 day to prove his innocence or submit to punishment. After having given up, he sits awaiting his demise when he overhears a goose complaining about a ring stuck in her throat. The servant leaps up, grabs the goose, and hurries to the kitchen, where the cook slits the goose's neck and reveals the missing gold ring. The king apologizes and offers the servant land and riches. The servant declines, accepting only a little gold and a horse on which to see the world. On his journey to another town in another kingdom, the servant first encounters a number of animals in distress, including 3 fish out of the water, ants at risk of being trodden upon, and starving raven fledglings in a nest. In each case, the servant heeds the call for help, and in each case, the grateful animals respond with, "I will remember and return the favor." In the next town, the servant learns that the king has announced that he wishes to marry off his daughter, but any suitor must agree to complete an arduous task to the end or be put to death. After one glimpse of the beautiful girl, the young man agrees. The king tosses a golden ring into the sea and tells the young man to retrieve it. He also adds that the young man must either bring the ring back, drown while getting the ring, or be drowned upon returning without it. However, the 3 fish appear, carrying a mussel with the king's ring inside. Astonished, the king agrees to the marriage of his daughter to the servant. However, the princess sets him upon another task of refilling sacks of grain that she had spilled in the grass, because she has found out that he is not a noble and thus not her social equal. The young man is discouraged because he believes it is impossible to gather all the grain from the ground, and he lies down and falls asleep. When he wakes, he is surprised to find all the sacks are now refilled with not one grain missing. The ant king had all the ants working the entire night to fill them. Still not satisfied, the princess sends the servant off to bring her an apple from the tree of life. The servant does not know where the tree of life stood, but he sets off anyway. After a long journey, he encounters the 3 raven fledglings, who had flown to the end of the world where the tree stands and retrieved the apple for him. The servant takes the apple to the princess and shares it with her, and the two finally are happily married. The end. As in episode 89, The Three Snake Leaves, a servant is an agent of magical abilities. In today's story, The White Snake. In The Three Snake Leaves, the power bestowed by the snake was the ability to bring something dead back to life. In The White Snake, a bite of the snake's body gives one the ability to hear what animals say. I only wish the servant who stumbles upon this magical ability didn't waste it on such a petty princess. What makes the white snake so unsatisfying, as a tale with a great setup, is that it's simply a vehicle for a man of low status to find a rich wife. A shame, really. But maybe the story's pedestrian quality is the point, that humans are often out for themselves, instead of for a greater good. To take that a little further, in fact, it would often seem from reading the Grimm's tale that one of the best things a man can do in this world is make good for himself rather than the world at large, and that by lifting his circumstances out of poverty, he makes himself deserving of respect. I know many politicians who'd agree, and that's probably why this tale doesn't quite make my list of favorites. On that note, bye for now. Let me know your thoughts on the story and our discussion by emailing me on woketalespodcast@gmail.com or through social media at woketalespodcast on Instagram and woketalespod on Twitter. And please rate, review, and like Woke Tales Podcast, and don't forget to subscribe so you can easily access our weekly stories. If you have any story recommendations, or if you want to come dissect and analyze a story with me, give me a shout out on email or social media. Because whatever you do, keep dissecting and keep analyzing.